Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. Now today we're going to have a look at the Comet. The Comet is a British tier 7 medium tank, and it's been in the game for like forever. Now this tank used to be a very feared tank. It used to be one of the best medium tanks in the game. Now we're going to look at the stats of the tank compared to some of the newer tanks or some of the buffed tanks against the Panther, Dracula, Leo, T44, 85, etc. I've just added some random tanks in there. So the DPM 2849. It's always had the best, or one of the best DPMs in tier 7. The DPM is absolutely fantastic. However, the penetration at 148 is not so good. Of course, I run it with calibrated shells, so you can get it up to sort of 155, which is then the same as the Dracula, the Leo, and all that, which then doesn't make it too bad. Rate of fire 16.56 and the reload at 3.62, and it is just a 76mm caliber gun. Shell velocity 785, not the best, but not too bad. Aim time 2.08, again, not too bad. Dispersion 0.308, so again, not bad, but not the best. What it does have is 12 degrees of gun depression, which is really nice. It goes 55 kilometers per hour as well. Now the tank's armor, the armor's not really there. It hasn't really got much armor on the tank. It's quite troll though. If you can go down, hold down, and you can get your sort of using your gun depression, you may be able to bounce the odd shot, but not everything. So don't use the armor if you don't need to. Like, don't rely on the armor. That's what I was supposed to say. Don't rely on the armor. The odd bounce you may be able to get, but you've got to be very lucky to really sort of get that bounce. Now, as I've said at the start, like, this tank used to be one of the most feared medium tanks in the game because of that raw DPM. It used to be just, there was nothing really like it. Nowadays you've got everything that can just counter this. You've got even sort of heavy tanks that make it, that can one-shot the tank, like the Smashers, the Annihilators, and you've just got so many tanks out there now, and the Comet is just not feared no more. It's not feared. It used to be feared because there was no premium tanks like there are. There was no Draculas, there was no Hellsin, no Annihilators, no Smashers, nothing really like that. Wargaming have brought out the FV201, which is kind of similar to the Comet, but a premium version, and it's a heavy tank. And it's actually got a nice sort of armor profile. The turret's quite nice. Yeah, but it's not a tank that you often see. I mean, you do see it, but you don't really see them performing that well. Because of the caliber gun, I mean, we could only track that that guy there in the Comet, but of course he did the same with us as well. But it's still a fun tank to play. If you can get it out, it's still a fun tank to play. You can still permatrack guys, you can still out DPM guys, and it is fun, and it is a fun tank to play. And I just wish that Wargaming would sort of, I don't know what kind of buff this tank needs, but it would be nice for Wargaming to do something to bring it back into the game, because this was one of the best tanks in the game back then. Like Bushka, this is one of Bushka's all-time favourite tanks, because it used to just be so much fun to play and people knew how to play it. I've got someone who has thousands of battles in this tank because there was nothing to compete with it really. Only tech tree tanks. You've got the Panther that wasn't really that good back then, but now Wargaming have buffed the Panther, and the armor profile now on the Panther is really strong. So there's nothing really bad about the tank. It's just it doesn't perform well now as it once was, and that's mainly because of other tanks out there. You don't really see these tanks that often, and like I said, you don't really see them doing too well. But that doesn't mean it can't perform in the battlefield, and it is a tech tree tank after all, and it would just be nice to see more of these tanks. But yeah, definitely it is not a feared tank. I don't fear coming up against a Comet now. So it will be good if Wargaming sort of buff it in anyway. I don't know exactly how the stats of the tank are doing, but you know what? I took the tank out, and in tier 8 it does kind of struggle because of that penetration, and against sort of the big heavies, the IS-3s and all that, of course you need to switch to the APCR, but that doesn't sort of bother me that much, because I've always said, like, medium tanks shouldn't really be able to pen a heavy tank frontally with ease. They should have to use that mobility. Now the mobility, just because it goes 55 kilometers an hour, it doesn't really feel like that. It does feel kind of sluggish to get to that top speed. And if it was a bit quicker, maybe off the acceleration or less power to weight ratio or whatever, then, or more, I don't know, I think it would be sort of a bit better. But at the moment, it's not a tank that you would take out to have fun, not like it used to be. And I just hope it does come back into the Blitz how it used to be. But it still can perform very well, which we're going to see here. So let's watch this game. I think we're watching Comet here. And when you're a higher tier in this tank, then yeah, it does become a very nice tank to play. But the majority of the time, you will see tier 8. Most of your battles you will see tier 8. The odd battle you'll see a tier 6, but without a doubt most of your battles will be your bottom tier, which does then become a lot more difficult, especially as everyone will be able to pen you. There's a lot of fast tanks out there that can equal your, or even better your mobility, and some medium tanks out there like the Panther now has that armor profile to counter your DPM. So we are going to watch this game. If you can get behind tanks and sort of get around the map and get either side shots or rear shots, then because of that DPM, you can deal quite a lot of damage very, very quickly. It doesn't have the high alpha gun. It's very low alpha, sort of 150, 160. So yeah, you do need to shoot a few times to get big damage in this tank. So at the moment, we're going to watch the rest of this game. So he is getting behind this RHM Borzik, and even against the Borzik, as you can see, because of the caliber of the gun, he's still struggling to pen it with HE. Now that literally has 0 armor, and he still can't pen it with HE, which is unfortunate. But the Borzik has now shot, so he can now just push forward and use the raw DPM of this thing. And you can see 156 there. He's still trying to go for the HE, but it's just not working. So he's just going to switch to, or stay with the AP. So he's just going to get one more shot into him. He's got to be careful not to get shot, because as I said, if big tanks come behind you, or any tank comes behind you really, and some at the side of you, they will be able to HE you nice and easy. Now, trying to get footage for this, I stupidly went side across to a smash, and he one-shotted me. So yeah, so he can be one-shotted nice and easy. 1200 hit points isn't so bad. I mean, it's kind of average. But yeah, it's still a fun tank to play. It can be a fun tank to play, especially when you could do things like that. Permatrack there, the ISU to Berlin. So he's now pumped up 3.3k damage without breaking a sweat, and that's because he used the mobility. When it gets to the top speed, it's not that bad. It goes 55 kilometers an hour, which isn't bad at all. But for me, it just takes a little bit of time to get there, and it still feels sort of, even though it's going 55, it still feels a little bit sluggish. So as you can see, hasn't bounced any shots at the moment, 3.8k, and now he's just going to use he's going to use the DPM against a tank with not so good DPM, and he has around about the same hit points. He is now a one shot, but he'll be able to shoot this guy at least twice before this guy has reloaded, and he does take him out nice and easy, just leaving now this 59 pattern. And he is going to go, he gets an unlucky bounce there for his Top Gun medal, but he does get the win. So a nice win there, 4.3k damage, and that's because he put himself into that position where he can use the quick reload and use the DPM of the tank. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of the tank? It'll be good to know. I'm Meadsy. I'll catch you all soon. Bye bye. With